So welcome. My name is Arienne Orozco, and I'm the Director of Outreach and Engagement at the Office of the Secretary of the State. And today I'm going to start off by kind of walking us through the application, which is a new piece of Red, White, and Blue Schools. In the past, educators have kind of compiled the projects that they were working on into a kind of arbitrary Word document and then sent that submission on to us. This time we're trying to just streamline the process a bit. So we've created an actual application which goes along hand in hand with the rubrics. And simultaneously, we'll be giving you some ideas of projects that you may already be doing or that you may be able to do between now and the application deadline, which is April 26th. So I'll start up with that. Then we'll have Steve Armstrong, consultant with the State Department of Education, who will give some additional ideas of projects that he's seen that work really well over previous submissions. And Brian Cofrancesco from the Connecticut's Old State House will talk about programs going on at the Old State House that might be of interest to you or your students. And of course, we have Secretary of the State, Stephanie Thomas, with us, who we'll also just introduce a new program that we have geared toward college students and training them to be moderators at elections, at polling places. And it's a brand new program that we have just launched the application for. So we're really excited about that. So let's get going. Red, White, and Blue Schools. So the application is now on the website. When you open up the document, you'll immediately see the top portion is just kind of your own details. This is a program that is for a school district, a school, a full grade, or a combination of a couple of classes. So it's not specifically for one class, but this is Red, White, and Blue Schools. So we're encouraging full school participation or full grade levels, or at least a couple of classes together. These are basically like the details that you'll need to fill out. And we also have separate, you'll see at the bottom here, K-5 and 6-12 are the two separate areas that we look for. And the rubrics, we have a K-5 rubrics and a 6-12 rubric. Then it will ask you to kind of just describe the projects overall. So kind of your overarching goals and ideas, just a summary briefly. And I did want to point out that you can either include images and graphics, photos throughout the application, or you can compile them together separately and include them separately. It doesn't really matter, whatever works best for you for the application. So question number 1 is, how did this work promote an interdisciplinary approach? So that's something that is really a focus for us this year, especially with our theme of connecting communities. So we always want to be thinking about the theme throughout all of these questions. So I have here a couple of sample ideas. The election cake. We had the Old State House held a contest for the election cake back in November. So I thought this was what a great idea for, just click that, to show civics in a totally different discipline. Same with our lawn sign project, a great way to incorporate the arts into civics or civics into the arts. We just took recycled lawn signs, so old lawn signs that were not going to be used again, stuck primer over both sides so that you couldn't see who the candidates were, and had kids and families write civic messages, totally nonpartisan, just, encouraging people to be community minded, to vote, to be good neighbors. And people had a lot of fun with this project. So this is something that we did a lot at different festivals over the summer. And I thought this could be a great idea for schools. Second question, connection with the local community. Again, connecting communities as our theme. We have, as an example, the League of Women Voters had an intern, a high school intern, who brought the league into her school and did voter registration for her classmates in the school. So that's one of the photos that you see. And so that's a way to kind of bring in an outside group into the school. And we also had some great high school volunteers in Milford in this other photo who came and helped register voters at a community event at the Oyster Festival last summer. So that's another great way to connect communities by bringing students out into the community. So it works both ways with bringing organizations in and having students go out into the communities. Different presentations. So this is talking about how the students are showing their projects, or how you're showing the students' projects. So as an example, and I thought this is actually, I think, a great project for schools to do. Wilton and some volunteers in Wilton got together and decided they wanted to create an organizational chart to show how all the different positions in their town kind of correspond to each other. What's a paid position? What's a volunteer position? Who's appointed? Who's elected? What do they do? So this is kind of just like an interesting, of course it's a research project, but it's presented in a very visual way. So you have that visual component of like graphics, graphic design. This was actually created by a professional graphic designer. So that I thought this was a great idea, just to show different formats, posters, plays, music. These are all different forms of presentation. I also have on here Footloose because I know it's a popular musical production for high schools this year in particular, as I believe it's the 30th anniversary of the movie, and so many high schools are showing it, and it does have a civic engagement component to it when the students kind of rally together and go talk to their town, and they want to hold their dance. And it's a great way to show that young people do have a voice as well, so putting that out there as well. So how have the students played a role in executing their projects? This is another important piece. Of course, it may correspond a little bit more to the older groups. Middle school and high schoolers may be a little bit more difficult for the younger kids to really fully plan. But as an example, in the right-hand photo here, you see the kid governor and his cabinet. these kids who ran for Kid Governor, they put together their platform. They decided what their, main mission was going to be. They recorded videos to show, to campaign for themselves. And so, they had a lot to say as they put together their project. Same here with the intern, League of Women Voters intern who, brought this event to her school. She reached out to our office and she, sent an email to me asking if Secretary Thomas would come and speak and be a part of this event. So she was very involved herself in the planning of this event. The impact of your project. So this is, I believe this was on Earth Day, but this is just a great example of, environmental impact. In this case, we're planting trees here on the green in Norwalk. And, this number 5 question is kind of asking whether there was an intention. Are you being strategic about thinking about the impact of your project, the longevity of it, the impact it will have on the community or on the students themselves? So, this, of course, is going to be a long-lasting impact on Norwalk and the community. And then I believe the last section, the last question is any links that you think would be applicable and you want to include. So I just have a few, I noted a few different points that might spark your thoughts on this, where your project's posted to like a school website or your town's website, where they advertise online. Did you get any news coverage of anything the students did? Were there photos posted to social media? Anything that you think would help us get a better sense of what those projects were. You can include any links in this section here. And that's pretty much it. So again, the application is on the Red, White, and Blue Schools website, which is housed on the Old State House's website under the education section. Submit by April 26th. We actually already have one submission in possession. So one school was very early this year, which is great to see. They've gotten all their projects done, but there is still time. So, hopefully some of these projects have sparked some ideas for you, either seeing that, you may have already done some projects that could apply, or that there are some in the works or that you could do between now and the end of April. We still have a full month, so there's definitely still time. And I'll turn it over to Steve, who I'm sure has other ideas to share with us as well.
Or just to reiterate, Arienne, a couple ideas you made. And just remember, folks, that the theme of connecting communities, we would love it if you would connect and with outside communities. But you realize at some level, connecting Class A with connecting to Class B is connecting a community. The 3rd grade in a school connecting with the 4th grade in a school is connecting with a community. Your high school connecting with your middle school is connecting to a community. So I would just use that connecting communities, again, to repeat. We'd love it if you would connect, and it would really help your application if you were collaborating with outside groups. But remember, you can do as a start. If sixth grade classes are doing together, that's a start on collaborating across the, connecting the community thing. I would also remind you that it's up to your school to decide. We've had applications before where a leader has recommended the whole school district. And as you know, there's been evidence brought in that the whole district did something. That's certainly appropriate. And again, we would hope that this wouldn't be done. But if it's just one grade in one school, but you can show that I think what's real important is in your application, you can't not connect the community, and I don't think do this credibly. I think somehow you have to show that you're somehow connecting communities in some way. It's not just, hey, we have some cool civics lessons. That may be true, but how do those civics lessons connect the community? And also, what would help you, it's not entirely necessary to do this, but which would greatly positively impact your application if this is done in an interdisciplinary way. If it's, say, the social studies class working with someone in the arts, or if the science class and the social, et cetera. But I think, it's not absolutely necessary. There's ways you can still be recognized. But to repeat myself, it would really, really help your application if there'd be some interdisciplinary aspect of the application. The last point I would make is it really, in the way we would envision this, it's not the teacher telling the class, hey, let's do this thing. It's the teacher and the class planning this together. That we really think that the students should have whatever activities are planned, whatever lessons are planned, that hopefully that the students would have some role in what they're doing. If they're reaching out to a group, that the students would have some say in who that group is. So interdisciplinary, making connections, and also just remembering that making connections can happen in a variety of ways. Thank you, Arienne. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Any questions before we turn it to Brian? Just any questions about whether it's the application, that I just went through, projects, questions on the theme?
Any ideas you want to run by us and make sure they're viable?
Or any ideas you want to just throw out to other people to help them?
And I know we have a small group here. I'm just curious to know what grades are represented here. I'm going to ask people to come off mute.
Hi, it's Regina at Vernon Center Middle School in Vernon, Connecticut. How are you?
Well, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'm sitting here with my colleague. She and I teach Gifted and Talented here in Vernon Public Schools. And I have already a couple of ideas in my head, but to be honest with you, because of spring break and because we have a PD day and Good Friday, we actually would only have 13 days of actual school time for the kids to work on a project. And I know we would have to have it submitted by April 26th. So I'm frantically trying to figure out if it's possible. The kids grades are about to close, so they're about to finish the things they're working on. Mm-hmm. Is this something that you do every year, or is this a new thing just for this year?
It is something we do every year. The theme changes from year to year. One thing you might think about, if you find you don't have time to pull off what you thought, like it might still be a good exercise to do some version of it, submit it, just to like go through the process and see how it works, and then start earlier next year.
Yeah, I didn't realize, I mean, I just got the notice from my assistant principal recently, but in my mind, whenever there's an election year, I try to do a lot of election work with the students because I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. They know very little about civics. They don't really get much of that in middle school. And I already have an idea for something called Election Connection, where the students learn about elections, presidential elections, but also local elections. So I would like to make that happen. And I think that probably would fit in with, some good civics learning.
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a guess that we haven't decided this, but I'm gonna guess that next year's theme is gonna work with what you're doing very well.
Okay, good.
So-
Because
Because you know
I'm,
what, I would suggest to back up with which the secretary already said, if you want to try something that you can do in 2 weeks, do it. But if you want to concentrate on next year, we would understand that, I think.
okay. I mean, I am thinking of some of my History Day students and some of their History Day projects. I have a student right now working on a project about the compromise of the election of 1876, but I don't think that ties in very well with our community message or the community message of red, white, and blue. So I will try, but thank you for answering my questions because
Yeah, it's a great idea. And of course, elections happen every year. And during presidential election years, there's so much attention, but like that's a project you can do in local years as well.
right. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Hi, my name is Nerida. I just wanted to first thank everyone for this wonderful opportunity. I'm a world language teacher, so I teach French and with Spanish in the middle school in Stanford. And like my previous colleague, I feel the same way. Like this is new to me. I'm also new to the district. It's a great. I love I love this. This opportunity. I think I'll do my best. I mean, to come up with I have some projects in my mind. I just need to get my colleagues on board with that. But this is wonderful, and thank you. So hopefully, I have enough time to, we work a lot with communities, especially since we have a large immigrant population here. So I believe that connectedness with the community is very crucial, as we all know. I have some ideas. So
I'm not in pedagogy at all, but translation and multilingual civic related information is a big issue.
yes.
And if you work with community organizations already, like it could be interesting to do whatever is age appropriate to just make signs or make materials in another language. I think that would be really interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be, yeah. I love this connecting communities theme so much. I want to bring it back next year.
And it's very
I think I'm
important.
gonna push back, but yeah.
Especially with technology now, we all feel, not just the kids, but also as adults, we feel very siloed in our world. And it's also healthy to feel that you're part of a community. You're not just behind those gadgets that we have. So it's also I always tell my colleagues, this is for our mental health, it's important to get out there and to connect with the community in a more humane level and not just through social media.
And like we said earlier, whatever you can do this year, great, but please come back every year. This program is enduring and we hope to make it bigger and bigger. Tell your colleagues.
Thank you.
And by the way, if anybody is going to try a project, and I know that there's April vacation and all coming up, but if you want to have somebody walk you through a project, some of us could be more than, if you wanted to try something in April, one of us could talk privately to you and we could figure out what's possible and what's not possible.
Thank you.
Well, I'm definitely interested in that for the April to see if we can do something. My name is Alicia Lorenzo. I teach 5th grade bilingual students. So I have a huge population of the students. And if I could help, I'm more than willing to translate things for you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Arienne and Brian and Secretary Thomas, who should be called if somebody wants help in putting something together?
Thought we had
I
someone
think
designated for
I
that.
think Sally was actually designated, but I'm happy to have it be me. Or unless Steve, it should be you as our education person. I can put we can just use this theme. I'm putting it in the chat. This is the email for Red, White, and Blue Schools, which actually comes right to me. I mean, it's a different mailbox, but I'm the one who gets it. So you'll be emailing me. And why don't we just say me, and then I can kind of.
If I can offer any
Designate.
classroom perspectives on that, I'd be happy to do it.
Great, thank you. All right. So, oh yes.
Sorry,
Yeah, Courtney.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, Courtney,
I
sorry.
was just gonna jump in and introduce myself. I'm Courtney. I'm the Social Studies Department Chair at Woodland Regional High School. So we actually had the honor of hosting Secretary Thomas on March 8th for the CAST convention. Chris Tomlin is our student government advisor, and he's, of course, very involved in all that happens in the state regarding student government. So he couldn't make it today, but I'm here on his behalf. Our school is very lucky in that we have a lot of community service projects that we do in multiple clubs, not just student government. And so I think what we're going to try to do is maybe not this year, but next year, we're going to see if we can use some programs or projects that we already do and integrate them into our civics classes, perhaps into a world language class or a fine arts class as well. And so I think, yeah, we're sort of thinking about next year, but I'm just here trying to gather some information. So everything's been very helpful. Thank you all for sharing all this information.
Thank you. Yeah, I love that. And I think that the interdisciplinary, piece of the rubrics probably will stay, even if the connecting communities theme is changed. Because I think, we're really, the idea that civics is in every single piece of our lives is so important. So, I love that. Thank you. All right. Let's move on to Brian, who I know will have some great news from Connecticut's Old State House. And Brian also runs the Kid Governor program for Connecticut.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Ariane. It's great to be with you all today. I'm stepping in for my colleague, Sally Whipple. I'm Brian Cofrancesco. I'm the director of the Kid Governor program, which is a program of the Connecticut Democracy Center, and we are in residence at Connecticut's Old State House, which is the building you see behind me, a 1796 historic state capitol. And we see ourselves as the place where history and civics meet. So we do a lot around both topics, and we are just so delighted to be part of the Red, White, and Blue Schools program. We have a lot of in-person and virtual civics opportunities and history opportunities coming up in the next few weeks. I just give you a quick synopsis in case any of them are of interest to you or your students. You can, of course, come and visit us at Connecticut's Old State House. We are a museum and historic site in downtown Hartford. We are open Tuesday through Saturday from 12 to 5. So families and students, teachers, the public can come and see us to learn about the history of this important site, the decisions that were made in this building that impacted our state, and many of the stories of the people who made civic change either at the building or through the functions of this building. If you are a fifth grade teacher, we do have the historic governor's office, which today is the Kid Governor's office. So you can see that space and explore examples of fifth graders taking civic action and being civically engaged today. We also have two exhibits that I encourage you to come and visit. We have one up right now, The Constitutional History of the Constitution State. And it's an exhibit that looks at 400 years of Connecticut's constitutional history and the 4 documents that have served as the basis of our government over those 4 centuries. And then starting April 9th, for about 2 weeks, we have an exhibit on loan that is traveling all across the country. It's created by the American Battlefield Trust and the Daughters of the American Revolution. It's called the American Revolution Experience, and it looks at the impact of the Revolutionary War on ordinary people, how it affected their day-to-day lives. So it's a good way to look at the impact of the war and then civic life in the 18th century, and then to learn more about the Revolutionary War itself. Teachers, since that's those who we're talking to today, we also do offer field trips to the old State House that are focused on civics, on the three branches of government, and a lot of different topics related to the building's history and stories. And right now we are offering discounted admission and bus transportation for K-12 classes. So if that's of interest, you can reach out to us, visit the Connecticut's Old State House website. We have a lot more information up there. It's not too late to book for this spring, so take a look and we'd be happy to send you some more information. And if you're just looking in general for civics resources, maybe you can't make it to Hartford, we have a lot of things online. We just celebrated Civic Learning Week, March 11th through 5th, which was part of a national effort to elevate the importance of civics education and really to emphasize it as a priority across the country. We did that with our state government partners and colleagues, including Secretary of the State Thomas and her office, Steve and the Department of Education, and Commissioner Russell Tucker, as well as other state government groups that we work with. So if you visit the Connecticut's Old State House website, ctoldstatehouse.org, under education, also where you'll find red, white, and blue schools, there's a link to our Civic Learning Week page. And on that page, you will find a whole bunch of resources from the three entities that are represented here today. We also have resources from Capitol Information and Tours, the Judicial Branch, the State Library, and the Museum of Connecticut History. So all of these civics resources all in one convenient location for teachers. We also hosted a number of virtual programs on history and civics topics for Civic Learning Week, and we have recordings and links to the recordings all on that page of our website. There are two in particular that I want to call your attention to that might be of interest. The first one is called Educate, Empower, and Engage, and it was a really, really good conversation between Secretary Thomas, Commissioner of Education Russell Tucker, and Connecticut's first ever kid governor Elena Tipton. And they talked about the impact of meaningful civic education and the impact it had on their lives and their careers. So it's a really good conversation. It's on that website page or on the Connecticut Democracy Center's YouTube channel. And the second one is called From Classroom to the Capital City. And it was a conversation with our partners at Capitol Information and Tours, the Supreme Court, the State Library, and the Museum of Connecticut History. And we talked about place-based learning, both about the importance of it when you're talking about civics, but also the opportunities that we have for teachers and students and the general public at each of our sites. So there are opportunities for you to come to Hartford and learn a whole bunch about civics and state government across our different locations. And lastly, I'll pitch, if you are a fifth grade teacher or if you know a fifth grader, Kid Governor Cristiano, who's currently in office, and his platform addresses physical activity for kids. He has a poster contest going on right now. His submissions are due April 1st, which is next Monday, and he's inviting fifth graders to submit artwork about how they and their families enjoy staying physically active. So you can visit ct.kidgovernor.org, which is the Connecticut's Kid Governor website, and you can learn more about the program, about Cristiano, and about his poster contest if your fifth graders would like to participate. So again, I mentioned a lot of different places, but we have a variety of resources. So if you would like to reach out at any time to either me or to my colleague, Sally Whipple, who's our executive director of the Old State House, we'd be happy to point you in the direction of resources you might be looking for. I think that's it. Thanks, Ariane.
Wow. Thank you, Brian. That was a lot. Great information. And yes, thank you. Your website is just a wealth of resources for us. And I think the poster idea is actually something that could be done probably pretty quickly and would kind of tick a lot of the boxes between being an interdisciplinary project and I just want to kind of point out that like last year's winner of red, white, and blue schools, they had multiple projects. So there wasn't really like one big project. It was kind of like multiple smaller projects that they kind of pieced together and submitted as one application throughout the school. So that's another way to think about it. It doesn't have to be some like one major big thing. All right. So any other questions about red, white, and blue schools? Otherwise, I will turn it over to Secretary Thomas to talk about our new great program called Next Gen Elections.
We think it's new and great anyway. Thank you.
Definitely new.
This may be more relevant for anyone teaching high school, but we're trying to get word out in the community. So the Election Assistance Commission is a federal commission that was set up in 2002 as part of the Help America Vote Act that was passed by the federal government. And they do many things to help make sure all the states are meeting standards, etc., in election administration. This year, they put together a grant program that would specifically fund college-age poll workers. And we thought this is a great opportunity. Connecticut has early voting for the first time ever this year, and we will need potentially thousands more poll workers. So we applied. There were 44 states that applied, and we were one of the 13 who won. Yay! So our program is something that we put together, and our goal was to not only recruit poll workers, but provide equitable leadership development possibilities, something that's a real resume builder, and also trying to foster the next generation of election workers. So our program will be open to anyone who will be a freshman, sophomore, or junior in college in the 2024 academic year, 2024-2025. So we're telling high school teachers, in case you know anyone who will be enrolled in a Connecticut college come the fall, because they can apply as well. The best thing about this program, because we received the grant, everything about it is paid. So what we're doing is putting together a small cohort of 40 students, and they will be trained. If you know elections, there's like poll workers and there's moderators, and moderators actually run polling locations. So these young people, whether they work as a moderator or not, will receive this higher level of training. They'll also be paired with a registrar of voters as a mentor. And it's pretty flexible, meaning the training is virtual. It's a learning management system. They have the registrars they can bounce questions off of, and they can do it in their own time. And then we will have them work elections. So November 2024, and then also November 2025. And we're paying for all the training time, all the time they spend working any polling location. If they need travel, like maybe they live in Norwalk, but Stamford needs a moderator or a poll worker, we'll make sure they can get to where the need is greatest. We'll have a couple of convenings so they can all get together, share some best practices, what they learned. But yeah, it's a great opportunity because it's paid. We're hoping to make it equitable for all students, especially those who also have to work. And the pay is a decent rate. I believe it's $18 an hour, so not low, because that's what our poll workers get paid, so that's what they'll be paid. And it's a great resume builder, and we're hoping to get more people interested in learning about the process. This cohort will also serve as an ambassador at their school and help out with things like National Voter Registration Day on their campus. Ariane, do we have a link yet we can drop in the chat or that we can say verbally, since a lot of people will watch this on a recording? They'll be able to check our website, right?
Yeah, I would say the best would be civics101.ct.gov. We just haven't been able to get it up on the website yet. We do have some handouts. We have an online application. But if you need information, I would suggest emailing me at civics101@ct.gov. And I can send you any information you need.
And that's the end of my commercial.
Any questions about this? About this program? Or Red, White, and Blue Schools before we jump off? 1 minute to spare. 4:30.
I missed the beginning part, but will I get a video? I mean, would I get a link for the recording? Yes. Okay.
Yes,
Great.
so I'll be sending this out to the full list again, so that anybody who missed, we actually had many people sign up. So I know there's a lot of interest in seeing this recording, so I will definitely be sending it out.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank
Great.
you for joining.
So thank you so much. I look forward to
folks.
seeing everyone's submissions by April 26th.
I know you can do
And
it.
look, seriously, let us know if you have questions. We can help.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone.